Today on Rappler, the JBC will require waivers on the confidentiality of bank accounts from Chief Justice nominees. Four out of 10 Filipinos couldn't say whether Renato Corona was innocent or guilty shortly before last week's historic vote. And apprehension and acceptance greet the new 12-year school program as classes begin. Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. The Judicial and Bar Council, or JBC, on Monday decides to include bank waivers in its requirements for those applying for the position of Chief Justice. JBC member Senator Francis Escudero says applicants from government must also submit copies of all their Statement of Assets, Liabilities, and Net Worth, or SALN, from the time they joined the bureaucracy. Escudero proposed adding this requirement. He says this may make the list of applicants shorter. The deadline for applications is June 18th.
Nagdagdag, ang hiniling ko na idagdag ng JBC ang isang requirement na mag-execute ng waiver ng secrecy of bank deposits at FCDU law ang sino mang nais mag-apply sa JB para sa punong maestrado, pabor sa JBC, para tingnan at ikumpara ng JBC yung nilalaman ng kanyang bank account at kanyang SALN ay i-fill up. Pangalawa, ni-require din namin na i-file ang SALN ng isang naninilbihan ng dati sa gobyerno. Lahat ng SALN niya mula sa nagsimula manilbihan sa pamahalaan kung siya man ay dating empleyado ng pamahalaan.
The eight-member JBC, which is supposed to include the Chief Justice, screens and nominates candidates to the judiciary and the Office of the Ombudsman. Acting Chief Justice Antonio Carpio inhibits from the proceedings. Carpio passes on the responsibility of presiding over the meetings to Justice Secretary Leila de Lima, who also declines. Carpio, the most senior justice, automatically becomes a nominee to the post along with other senior justices. De Lima is also mentioned as a possible nominee, but tells reporters before the meeting that she is not interested.
One thing is sure, I'm not going to apply.
Okay.
I'm not going to apply. So if somebody or some group would nominate me, then I'll think about it. I'll decide. I'll consult whoever I would want to consult, especially my father.
Okay.
And of course, I have to discuss that with the president.
You're still
Retired Supreme Court Justice Regino Hermosissima, a JBC member, is now the presiding officer of the council. Aside from Hermosissima, De Lima, Escudero, and Iloilo Representative Niel Tupas, other members include Maria Milagros Fernan Cayosa of the Integrated Bar of the Philippines, Jose Mejia from the Academe, and retired Court of Appeals Justice Aurora Lagman. From complete secrecy in the past, the JBC now makes its voting tally on judiciary or ombudsman nominations public. The council still keeps the basis of its choices confidential. In an interview Monday, House Speaker Feliciano Belmonte says he prefers an insider Chief Justice. Earlier, calls were made by Senators Francis Escudero, Alan Peter Cayetano, and Francis Pangilinan for an outsider Chief Magistrate.
Para sa akin, the first preference should be to the people who are already in the Supreme Court or in the court system. Pero still, the president should be given as wide a leeway as possible. Pero ako mismo, I would give preference to those who are already inside.
Ousted Chief Justice Renato Corona releases a statement Saturday when he was discharged from the hospital. Quoting the Bible, he said, quote, "I have fought a good fight, I have finished the race, I have kept the faith." Corona was discharged from Medical City Hospital last Saturday. Doctors said he was in danger of a heart attack after he walked out of an impeachment hearing after being summoned by his own defense team. The public is not as convinced of Corona's guilt as the impeachment court. A Polls Asian nationwide survey held days before the Corona verdict shows nearly 4 out of 10 Filipinos couldn't say whether he was innocent or guilty. The survey, released Monday, was conducted from May 20th to 26th, before the Senate voted 20-3 to convict Corona on May 29th. Pulse Asia says 38% of Filipinos are not sure about Corona's innocence or guilt. 30% say he is probably guilty. 15% believe he is definitely guilty. 3% say he's probably innocent. And 2% consider him definitely innocent. 1 in 10 Filipinos admit not knowing enough about the issue to give an opinion. Pulse Asia says Filipinos' opinions about Corona depend on their knowledge of the trial. Only 26% of respondents said they did not expect the senator judges to be fair. President Benigno Aquino III leaves for a visit to the United Kingdom and the United States with an 89-member delegation. He will meet British Prime Minister David Cameron in 10 Downing Street and U.S. President Barack Obama in the Oval Office. Executive Secretary Paquito Ochoa Jr. says the government is spending 87.1 million pesos for Aquino's trips to the UK and the U.S. This is his first European trip. On June 6, Wednesday, Aquino will head to Washington for his meeting with Obama, U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and American legislators. This will be Aquino's 4th meeting with Obama in 2 years. The leaders will discuss economic and security issues, as well as the U.S. focus on the Asia-Pacific region. Clinton will host a luncheon in Aquino's honor at the State Department in Washington. The Philippine president will also meet with Filipinos in the UK and Los Angeles, as well as meet with American Idol finalist Jessica Sanchez in LA. Sanchez is an American citizen of Filipino-Mexican descent.
Ipagpulong tayo kay Punong Ministro David Cameron. Pagkakataon din po ito upang mapasalamatan natin ang United Kingdom sa kanilang suporta sa kaunlarang pang-ekonomiya ng Pilipinas. Pagkatapos sa 3 araw natin sa United Kingdom, tutuloy naman tayo sa Estados Unidos. Layon po nating talakayin kung paano pang mapapalalim ang ating kooperasyon mula sa pagpapalago sa ating kalakalan at pamumuhunan hanggang sa pagpapalawak ng mga kaalaman sa siyensya at teknolohiya. At tulad po ng bawat pagbiyahe natin sa labas ng bansa, hindi natin palalampasin ang pagkakataong kamustahin ang mga kababayan natin sa United Kingdom at United States.
The United States repositions the majority of its naval fleet to the Pacific. Speaking at an annual security summit in Singapore, U.S. Defense Secretary Leon Panetta says Washington will gradually shift its naval fleet. By 2020, it will have 60% of its ships in the Pacific, up from the current 50%. The move comes in the middle of U.S. budget cuts amounting to $500 billion in the next 10 years. The highest-ranking officer in the United States Armed Forces is on a 2-day visit to the Philippines to meet with senior military and civilian leaders. The Philippines asks for the support of the U.S. during a standoff with China at the Scarborough Shoal, a few kilometers west of the Philippines in the South China Sea. Typhoon Ambo, international name Mawar, leaves 3 children dead and 6 fishermen missing after heavy rains and rough waters to parts of the Philippines. The Civil Defense Office says 2 siblings were carried away by a rampaging river in Palawan, while a 7-year-old boy drowned in a river east of Manila. The search continues for 6 fishermen. Although Ambo did not hit the country directly, it brought heavy rains, particularly over eastern parts of the archipelago, raising fears of flash floods and landslides. In its 5 p.m. bulletin Monday, Pag-asa shows the typhoon is at 490 kilometers east-northeast of Basco, Batanes, warning of gale force winds in the northern and central coasts of the country. Classes start today in many schools in the Philippines. Aside from the rains and traffic that greet school opening, parents and students give mixed reviews to the new 12-year school program that adds 2 years before a college education. Carlos Santamaria tells us reflections are divided along income lines.
The Philippines is the last country in Asia to adopt the 12-year basic education cycle. Let's find out what students, parents, and teachers think about the new K-12 education system in public and private schools. Some kids are excited about learning more, in spite of having to wait 2 more years to graduate.
I think it's really great because it helps us learn more about many subjects in our school. It helps us learn more about our education in life.
Others think the new system is impractical and point out they need to be more motivated to learn.
It's not, the problem really isn't in the schools, it's in the students itself, because like students aren't really that into studying. So if we get them to focus more, then maybe we could, maybe we could have a better Philippines in the future.
One of the main challenges of K-12 is the 2 additional years of tuition that parents must pay, but they seem to be willing to make the sacrifice in order to ensure a better education for their children.
As a parent, right now my son is in first year, so he's quite young. So I don't mind an additional year or 2 years before he gets into college, because I think that the kids right now are quite, very young and immature. And once he goes off to the real world, I want to make sure that he's been prepped real well and he has the skills to be out there for work, for real work.
Some of the graduate students in high school, they do not know kung ano pinag-aralan nila.
The teachers believe it's an opportunity for their pupils to acquire new skills and are doing their best to adapt to the new system.
I think the K-12 curriculum will be beneficial to the students because from this curriculum they're going to learn some skills which they're going to have or they can use in their future.
The additional 2 years will be beneficial for them in terms of additional things to learn and additional topics that they can cover.
However better education gets, the harsh reality is that many poor families will not be able to afford it, and their children will not graduate under K-12. Carlos Santamaria, Manila, Rappler.
Well, let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 5, Pope Benedict XVI says traditional family values and Sunday rest are key to escaping the problems of modern society. Speaking before the festive World Meeting of Families in Milan, the Pope repeatedly cites the importance of family given the threat to marriages of, quote, not between man and woman. He also asks the faithful to, quote, watch over the children in a world dominated by technology. The pontiff looks joyful despite a whistleblowing scandal that recently hit the Vatican's bank. At number 8, pomp and splendor mark the 4-day festivities for the 60th anniversary of 86-year-old Queen Elizabeth II's accession to the British throne. The Queen indulges in her love of horse racing before joining the 1,000-boat pageant on River Thames in London. It is the biggest of its kind in 350 years. At number 9, on Tuesday, June 6, Asia will have one of the best views of the transit of Venus. It's a planetary alignment that occurs when Venus passes between the Earth and the Sun. A lunar eclipse will set the stage for this astronomical event that is rarer than the return of Halley's Comet. Venus appears as a distinct but tiny round black spot on the Sun. Venus will transit west to east across the solar disk over a period of 6 hours and 40 minutes. And at number 10, 2 former employees of Rovio, the Finnish firm that created hit online app Angry Birds, are cooking up a new multiplayer real-time game that's a cartoony version of World of Warcraft. The young founders say the characters of their new game are goofier and less circular than the Angry Birds and will use kitchenware as fashion accessories or weapons. Boom Lagoon hopes to put out the game this year. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. Well, that's Rappler's Newscast for today, Monday, June 4th, 2012. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.